I was lucky. I started out really tops in math. I was going to be the top math student and science student in all my schools. So that was a good head start, but I got inspired towards a subject not taught in schools. You had to learn it on your own. Electronics and computers were far off in those days compared to today. They weren't important. People didn't see them in society. I mean, a few people became engineers and made things that make life easier. I had two big inspirations that came from movies and books I read. Books about young engineers who owned a company with their father and would rush into the laboratory and work for 2 weeks without hardly coming out to design things that saved the world. And oh my gosh, I wanted to be one of these people. A few companies were spinning off other companies and it was going to become the big technology center of all time. But I was lucky because where I lived, half the kids on my block were into electronics. They read Popular Electronics magazine and saw how you could solder together a few electronic parts and make tone makers and the things, sirens. And so when we would go and pull the weeds for neighbors, instead of asking to be paid with money, me and my friends would ask to be paid with electronic parts. And they'd go into their garages and they would have these little jars full of electronic parts and we'd choose the ones we wanted. I was inspired by electronics and I told my father at an early age, I'm going to be an electrical engineer like you. I was the only one of 3 siblings that became an engineer, in fact. But whenever I had questions, he could answer them and help direct me and take me to another level of electronics. Furthermore, I told him second in my life, I want to be a 5th grade teacher. I told him that when I was 11 years old. The skills I got in computers, I got by accident. Outside of school, when there were no books on computers, there were no magazines on computers, I would discover a little journal in the hall closet and start reading these articles about little logic symbols that made decisions, that could do things. And my father would teach me how to turn it into electronics. So I did incredible electronics projects. By 6th grade, I was hundreds of transistors that weren't even available back then, hooked together to play a game of tic-tac-toe using logic. Did I think that I was going to ever have a company? No. Did I think I was ever going to work in computers? I was building huge computer projects. No, I thought I would be an engineer, designing televisions and radios, not computers. You know what? We need a lot of types of engineers. Some engineers still have to deal with mathematics of the old days. You still need people that understand how to make radios. You need people that understand how to make bridges and buildings that won't fall down. But then computer engineering doesn't need any mathematics. It's just a logical thinking mind.